Hello guys and girls, welcome back to another episode of RedManaMadness. We have got a deck tech video today with you guys, and I thought I would have the opportunity to show off my new commander that I've been using lately, and that is Jhoira. I hope that is clear for you guys. Jhoira, the Ageless Innovator. I have a thing for artifacts, and I thought I would go with an Is It artifact deck using Jhoira to find ways to cheat in creatures and other artifacts to try and get ahead of my opponent. I made this deck quite a little while back, but I thought I would, over the months, I've made a few improvements, changed a few cards, added a few bits and bobs, from where I've played and encountered certain challenges or things that just wasn't working within the deck. I've made a few changes. I wouldn't say this deck is fully complete. I wouldn't say it's fairly compatible. I've seen it in the testing plays. It can like spiral out of control. It can just steamroll ahead. The only problem with that is that once you get too far ahead too quickly, you become a target, and whenever I've played, I've been a massive target playing this deck, because by a couple of turns I have really large creatures out, or I can do certain naughty things, and obviously the pod don't like that, so that I get eliminated. But so what I thought I'd do is we'll go through a few things, go through the deck itself. I'll start off with the lands, how many do we have, and a few little utility lands and the reason that they're in there. Go through the artifacts itself. We've got some sorceries, a planeswalker, a couple of enchantments, a fair few instants, some equipment. I've got a couple of vehicles, and ahhing about adding some more if I can find them, red, blue, or red and blue vehicles, and the creatures will do last. I think I've got a total of 23 creatures. 18 of those creatures are artifact creatures. But the other ones do a little bit of card draw or some untapping abilities to get me a chance to re-trigger my commander, because that's the idea. I want to tap her, adds the ingenuity counters, untap her, add them again. So, try and get some sort of combo going off. Sorry, let me just read what the commander does. So so she costs a blue and a red. So Is It colors. Just 2 mana, and once you're able to tap her, you tap Jhoira and put 2 ingenuity counters on Jhoira. Then you may put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the number of ingenuity counters on Jhoira. So if throughout the game, as you tap her, if she has, like, say, you start off with 2, you can play, say for example this card, which costs 2, onto the battlefield without paying as mana cost. It's essentially playing it for free, which is really good, which then stacks over time. So if I can, in a turn, tap her, add another 2, untap her, tap her again, and another 2, I could effectively just go like, play a 4, play a 6, I still have all my mana, and I leave that mana deliberately open, for counter spells or for some sort of interaction or interrupt where I can disrupt my opponents if they try to target me in any way. So moving forward.
Before I start this video, let me just tell you a little something. This channel's whole purpose is to broadcast and promote my eBay shop, RedManaMadness. Every card you see in this video, you will see in eBay. I do my research analysing the demand to know a good price point. I work out to find the right price so you can get the best price. And it doesn't end there. I also sell bundles and accessories essential to your MTG plays. So after you watch this video, of course, head over to my eBay shop at www.ebay.co.uk/str/RedManaMadness, or click in the link in the description below. Now, let's start the video.
We have 30 lands. 30 lands, nothing overly special. 5 of the lands are artifact lands. I do have like a wildcard land, so to speak, which is the Henwa Battlements. The only reason it's in this deck is for the 1 red to give a target creature haste until the end of turn. This is because where I'm cheating in potentially something extremely big or maybe quite powerful, I want the opportunity to give it haste so I can immediately use it and attack with it before my opponents get a turn to draw a card and potentially have an answer to deal with it. So that was the idea behind that. Maybe a little bit of a wild card. I'm not too sure, if it belongs here or not. But I thought with the opportunity to give something haste, that's the reason why it's in there. I have no interest in melding it with its other counterpart. It's just a haste. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifact lands, and that's the Darksteel Citadel, the Great Furnace, Seat of the Synod, the Silver Bluff Bridge, and the Power Depot. And then I got a couple of little flavor ones as well. Just to tap for 2, the Temple of the False Gods, Command Tower, Shivian Reef, and the rest is just regular mountains and islands. So that's not too bad. With the artifacts, I have a total of like 17, I think it is, like static artifacts that you just play. Things like the Mirage Mirror. I do have some very large creatures. Potentially, if I could create a copy of that, like say for example, I have Blightsteel Colossus that's in there. I'll show him in a minute. If I was able to have this out and create a token copy of that, that might be pretty damn big. I don't think the Blightsteel is a legendary artifact.
Nope.
So being able to do that would be pretty damn cool. So this is sort of like a new addition for me. So Crawl Space. Given the fact that early doors my Jhoira deck can explode pretty quickly, I find myself in a position where someone can play equally as fast as me and can play loads of creatures or get quite a board state, and they end up attacking me with quite a lot of creatures, which I'm not able to deal with sometimes. So with this, I felt like this might be a good idea to put in to help slow them down, to give me a chance to counterattack, so to speak. So that was the reason why I put that in there. Mage Right Stone is kind of like a combo piece for Jhoira. You pay 1, untap target creature that has an activated ability with a tap in it, which is Jhoira. I do have 1 or 2 other creatures that have that ability as well, so I can untap other creatures as well. But that's the idea behind the Mage Right Stone. That's in foil as well. I have these double sleeved, by the way, so if they do look a bit dull, I do apologise. So that's another one. The Encroaching Microsynth as well. So non-land permanents, you control artifacts. So this just turns Jhoira into an artifact and other things into artifacts, although everything is an artifact. The reason behind this is because I have the Unwinding Clock. So if Jhoira is an artifact, thanks to the Encroaching Microsynth, I get to untap her during my player's untap step. So combo piece right there. Dragon Spark Reactor is like a removal answer, so to speak. I will be playing a lot of artifacts. A lot of artifacts will be entering the battlefield. So hopefully lots of counters will be putting on this. So this is a recent addition as well. It was more of the idea behind this was just to find an answer, so to speak. Like I've been in a couple of games where in a situation where someone has something pretty big and I don't have an answer to deal with it, or the pod doesn't. So I thought I'll have that in there. Maybe after a few turns I can like deal 6 damage or something. If someone's got a really troublesome creature, I could just deal 6 to that, sacrifice it and boom it. Or you never know, if it's a late game and I've got like quite a few counters on there and someone's down to like say their last 8 life and this has 8 counters, I can just sack that and kill them outright. The God-Pharaoh statue, just another one to slow my opponents down. They lose a life. Spells my opponents cast cost 2 more to cast. Again, just to help slow them down. Any way I can slow them down but keep the tempo and the pace myself going, I think is quite powerful, so to speak. Portal to Phyrexia. Yeah, it's a big one. I have managed to play this card a couple of times. I have managed to I wouldn't say easily, but I would say it's not uncommon for me to at least reach 10 counters on Jhoira from my recent plays. So getting this out hasn't been too big an issue for me. But it's a big one. All my opponents sacrifice 3 creatures, and then I get to, play some of their creatures from their graveyard under my control onto the battlefield on my upkeep. So start stealing their creatures, especially if they have graveyard recursion. I'll just take, I'll target whoever player has the graveyard recursion. I'll target their graveyard all the time and pick out their biggest ones. Voyager Staff. This was kind of like it's meant a protection against removal, so to speak. So there has been times when I've played something fairly good, and someone will do like Path to Exile or whatever, or Swords to Plowshares. I've used this once or twice. It's a little circumstantial. Maybe if I find something better, then I might remove this and put something else in. But this was just something I've used once or twice, and it has saved a creature. Maybe from a board wipe if I've got Blightsteel in my hand and I'm on 10 counters and someone does a board wipe, potentially use that, save Jhoira. She comes in at the beginning of the end step, and on my next turn, hopefully, I can bring out the Blightsteel, which would be quite cool. The other static artifacts, so to speak, are the ramp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ramp, ranging from Soul Ring to the Stone, Command Sphere, Fire Diamond, Fire Mind Vessel. Yeah, just a little bit of extra ramp, because I am only doing 30 lands, which I guess might be considered fairly small, especially since I have lots of 8, 9, 10, 11 costing creatures. But the idea is to not use the mana to pay for it in any way. That's Jhoira's job to pay for it. This was a new addition. One of the things I definitely encountered was the lack of card draw. I empty my hand very, very fast, and finding card draw was a real struggle in the early prototype of this deck and early testings of this deck. So this is a recent addition. Obviously it costs 1 less, so hopefully at some point it only costs me 1 blue to tap this and I get to draw a card, which is quite nice. Extra card draw per turn could be quite handy. So a new addition to that one. I've yet to use it in a game. I think so. We'll see how it goes, but you can't say no to card draw. Moving on to the sorceries, I have 8 in total. 5 of them give me card draw, and that would be the insight here. Get to draw 3 cards and then proliferate. The reason for the proliferate is because of the counters. I do have a saga in my deck as well that might help with that. Obviously with draw with the counters as well. I do have I will go through the creatures in a bit, but I've got a creature that taps to put a 1/1 counter on each artifact I control. So again, if I do get to a point where I'm putting counters on my creatures, I could potentially proliferate that as well, so it's not too bad. Tezzeret's Ambition, card draw, discard if I don't control an artifact, but I'll always will. This one has been in there since the beginning. It's more of a damage dealer and a potential card draw if I can't find an answer. Bit of a wild card, it's probably going to go. Just need to figure out potentially something better than this to replace it with. Overmaster, again the card draw and to overcome a counter spell. This is more of a desperation card. If, say for example, I had the mana to cast a really powerful creature, like again the Blightsteel, but Jhoira was out for whatever reason, say like I had the 10 or I was going to do it but someone killed her, or a board wipe, I could play this and then do the Blightsteel or another big creature or some other big powerful spell. Just A for the card draw, and in case I was facing someone that had a lot of counter spells. One with the machine, draw cards, more card draw. A new addition is the Jessica's Will. I hopefully will have my commander out quite often. She's very cheap. I can at least play her 2 or 3 times without hurting myself too much, considering she's the one that pays for the artifacts to come out to the battlefield, not my mana, not my land base. So it shouldn't be an issue here, but hopefully Jessica's Will come in quite handy. This I added because I actually have almost 0 graveyard recursion. So I added that. It's 1, bring an artifact from your graveyard to your hand. I have lots of artifacts, lots of handy artifacts, and I thought it would make sense to add something to it. I managed to pick this up at my local game store. So it looks very old. It's definitely seen some love. So that's in there. And Mutiny, target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power. I was just looking for a removal spell per se that just costs as little as possible. One, depending on the creature, I could pick a creature that costs, that has that 8 power, and it can do that damage to another creature or something. It's maybe a bit circumstantial, but I just thought to myself, it's cheap, it costs 1. The way I see it is if he did get countered, they wasted more mana and spent a much more better card on a crappy little card for me to just do damage to something in some way. The Planeswalker is the Saheeli, the Filigree Master. I'm just going to try and tap on that to try and bring the focus up a bit better. Hopefully that's a bit better there. So this one is to do one or two things. The +1, mostly I'll be doing a +1 to scry to help fill the top card in my deck. But I may untap an artifact you control. This could be like any of one of my artifacts. If it's like a Soul Ring, one of my lands. If the combo piece is out with the Microsynth, if Jhoira is an artifact, I will untap her. And I get to draw a card. So it's card draw and scrying. That's essentially what I'll be only using that for. Maybe if I need some bodies, but ultimately if I can get to the point where I do her ultimate, that'd be quite handy. +1/+1 and artifacts cost 1 less. That's not too bad. So she's in there. I've used her once or twice. She's not like completely useless, but like she's not like a massive threat to a lot of people. Like she does a lot of stuff. It's just literally drawing me an extra card, and for a good couple of turns she tends to get ignored before someone's like, no, you know what, you've had enough, and they get rid of her. But she tends to pay herself back in dividends before someone decides to remove her, which is not too bad. Onto the enchantments here. Got the Fable Mirror Breaker. This one was more just to help answer land mass, just in case with the 30 lands it is a little bit less than they usually are, but hopefully creating some treasure tokens might help answer that. Drawing and discarding, hopefully get through my deck a little bit faster than my opponents, and then obviously with Kiki Jiki on the other side is quite handy if I can get to ever do that, create a token copy of another target non-legendary creature would be pretty damn handy. If you see some of the creatures that I do have, if I was able to create copies of them, would be pretty damn cool. So that's in there. Just it does a little bit of everything. It's a really good card, to be fair. With all the counters going on, all will be one. Whenever one or more counters on a permanent or player, all will be one, deal that much damage to a target opponent, creature, or an opponent controls, or planeswalker. So this is just to help me ping damage to everyone. As I'm putting counters on things, I'm pretty sure counters on my planeswalker, counters on Jhoira, counters on my Saga. I've got another thing that puts counters on things as well. Potentially, I think I remember having one game where the Steel Overseer, so you tap it, and you put a 1/1 counter on each artifact you control. And if I've got like 6 artifacts out, that's 6 counters going on. That's 6 damage to something. So, not had a chance to use that, but maybe a potential combo piece. It was just an idea, and I thought maybe it could be like another answer to deal with like a problem person or something if I have that combo out. Could be a wild card, maybe let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you think that's a good idea or not. But as we go through the creatures, you'll probably see, get to see why, to do that. Storm the Vault is a new addition. This one was, again, to create some treasure tokens. Obviously, having 5 or more artifacts shouldn't be an issue. I've actually played this card and transformed it very easily, basically on the same turn that I played it, which wasn't too bad. And I get to add 1 blue to my mana pool for each artifact you control, which is quite nice if I choose to do that. That's pretty big. Ramp, I guess you can count that as ramp. So pretty damn good. And the metallurgic summonings as well. So whenever you cast an instant sorcery, create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is that mana cost. So the idea behind this was to just create bodies. This one was a fairly new addition as well, so to speak. I've not had a chance to use this. The idea was like where I've been playing some games where I've been surprisingly outnumbered, so to speak. This would hopefully, if I was able to play this, play my sorceries, play my instants with this out, create lots of little 1/1s, 2/2s, 3/3s, maybe a little bit bigger. At least I got bodies to protect myself with if needs be, or if it's an open battlefield and I got the chance to swing wide and attack someone with it. So it's not too bad. Onto the instants, we have quite a few. I think like 13. Well, I don't know if that's a lot or not, but we have like 13. 5 of them are counter spells, so we got an offer you can't refuse. Again, I was just thinking cost effectiveness is 1 blue to target a non-creature spell, potentially a board wipe saver. I tend to save that for board wipes, to be fair. Mana drain. This is brand new. I've yet to use this. I've added this quite recently. I got very lucky in a pull. I actually pulled this card, so I was actually, for once, really, really lucky. Everyone knows what Mana Drain does. Turn aside, counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, aka Jhoira. No doubt people will be going for her. Counter target spell, and this one has a potential proliferate chance, so you never know. Just to give Jhoira that edge. Regular counter spell. With the other ones, we've got the Polymorphic Chest. This is to hopefully just to like completely reduce my opponent down to 1/1s, and I can just like stampede over and counter attack with something quite big, or use it defensively. If someone's swinging with massive creatures at me, I could potentially turn them all into 1/1s and then block appropriately with what I've got. So potentially a little saver. This is a new addition as well, to be fair, and I thought this might be a good idea to add. Nice foil abrade, 3 damage for target creature or destroy artifact, you never know. Redirect, choose new targets for target spell. This one is just for like, I kind of like the idea of this. Is probably not very good, but this was more if say for example someone tries to Swords to Plowshares my Blightsteel Colossus or something, I can play that and then Swords to Plowshares something else. That's not too bad. Haste opportunity with a card draw. Again, I would play this if I would, as soon as I play something massive, I would play this immediately to then give it haste, and I could just swing with it straight away. Shore Up is a bit of a protection spell. Again, it adds the 1/1 and it gives it hexproof, and I get to untap it as well, namely Jhoira. Wild Ricochet is a bit of a wild card on this one. This costs quite a bit. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I put it on there because of the whole with the whole redirect. And I got reroute as well, so I just thought, changing people's spells targets just to like muck around and have a bit of fun with it. I thought I'd add these in here, so that was the idea behind there. How effective they really are, I don't know. Change the target of target activate ability with a single target. Yeah, maybe. Choose new targets for target spell is a sorcery. Copy the spell, then choose choose new targets for the copy. So yeah, I don't know. Might be a bit hit or miss. Reality Heist as well costs potentially up to only 2 blue. It most likely will whenever I cast this, because getting 5 artifacts is quite easy. You get to look at the top 7 cards of your library, reveal 2 artifact cards from among them, put them into your hand, and the rest at the bottom. So again, a little bit of cards draw, so to speak, to help me get there. Card draw was severely lacking in the early makings of this deck, and I would fizzle out by like turn 4, I'd fizzle out. So we got the usual Swiftfoot Boots to give something hexproof and haste. Again, there's a couple of times I really want to give some creatures haste and try and swing as fast as possible. And the Illusionist Bracers, this is brand new. I've actually added this the other day, and I traded Life of the Loam with my girlfriend to get this card. So whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So I'm pretty sure the way this works, if I equip this to Jhoira, when I tap her, I get to put 2 counters on and then play something from my hand. And then this activates and I copy that ability because it's a tapping ability, it's not a mana ability. And I get to copy it and do it again. So I would then put another 2 counters on and then just put something for 4. So in one turn, I could play 2 creatures. If I'm not mistaken, maybe comment in the sections if I've read that right. From what I understand, I think I can do that with this. So we'll see how it goes. I would like to have an opportunity to play this and then do some really naughty things with Jhoira with these bracers. So we'll see how it goes. Onto the vehicles, there are only 2. I have the Belligerent. I like the idea of this one. So whenever it attacks, create a treasure token. So mana fixing issues, and until the end of the turn, look at the top card of your library. You may at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. This is just to if I haven't played a land turn or missed a land drop, potentially help fix that if it's land, and also if I have got the mana for it, and play something on the top of my library and just get ahead of the curve, so to speak, get in through my deck faster. And the other one is the Queening Minecart. So this one is whenever it attacks, create a treasure token, crew 1. Nice, easy, only costs 1 to crew. I mean, Jhoira can do it if I need to, just to help fix the mana early doors and get get a few treasures in. Plus, they count as artifacts, and it helps say for example with the reality with Tamio's logbook, for example, because it's an artifact that costs 1 less, I can draw faster. So moving on to creatures, we have a total of 23, yeah, definitely 23. but 18 of them are artifacts. Let me just quickly go through the non-artifact creatures, which is these ones here. So we've got the Visor of Tumbling Sands. Okay, so obviously this is the you know why it's in here. It's like untap another target permanent. It's going to be Jhoira every single time nearly. This one I added. This one's been in since the beginning. I thought more of the copy target artifact spell you control. I actually haven't had a chance to use him. He's been in here since the beta, so to speak. And you pay 3 tap copy target artifact. So I assume if I was to cast an artifact spell, I would pay the 3 and tap him, and then copy the artifact spell and have 2 of it. I think that's the reason behind that's the reason why he's in there. But yeah, I've yet to use him. Jhoira, the Weatherlight Captain, I have is a new addition, and again, the only reason she's in there is the card draw. And I'll be playing a couple of legendaries. I think I've got 1 saga, but most of it's going to be artifacts. So hopefully she's, I've played with her before, and she does pop off a little bit for me, which is quite nice. The Reckless Weaver. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, deals 1 damage to each opponent. And where I've added a few opportunities to create a few extra treasure tokens, which are artifacts, he pops off that little bit more often. So quite happy with that. The Kelpie Guide. Untap target permanent you control. That's pretty much what it's for. And maybe late game if I need to tap one of theirs. If I'm on the offensive, that's what it's there for as well. So a couple of untapping combos. The Patchwork Automatron is a new addition. So it has Ward 2, and whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a 1/1 counter on the Automatron. So it's just a 1/1. Potentially use it to crew the Queening Minecart to begin with, but as I play other artifacts, this could get a bit bigger. Hopefully defend me against other people's creatures, and then if I need to go on the offensive, I've got something big to use. The Blightsteel Colossus in the foil, by the way. My ad, I paid for that. Cost quite a bit of money, but I needed to get him. Worth every penny. So Trample, Infect, and Indestructible. I think everyone knows what this card does, but yeah, he's big. I think in one of the very, very early stages of testing this deck, I did manage to get him out once. So yeah, but he's basically the goal. The goal is to play Jhoira and get it to 12. Finds the Blightsteel within my library. If not, if I get lucky and have him in my opening hand, and get him out and try and kill someone with it. That's the goal. That's the achievement. If I can get that, that's it. I've won. The Arcane Proxy. So I'm not too sure about this card because it does require me to cast it for me to gain its ability, which costs 7 or 3 if I want to do its prototype. But yeah, it's pretty pricey. I'm thinking of getting rid of this card and changing it for something else, but I'm not too sure what yet. But in the meantime, he stays in there. Rabbit Battery, cheap little creature, but it's more of the haste opportunity and the reconfigure. So, play this, reconfigure, haste, boom, attack. That's the idea. Just want to give a few of my big ones, haste, and go from there. We got the Suchi, the Cave Guard. It's an 8/8 ward and vigilance. When it dies, it gives me 8 colorless mana, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, another big creature. Again, Jhoira's job. A little bit of Mana Dork, Silvermere, Burnished Heart. This allows me to search for 2 basic lands, so it's not too bad. Chief of the Foundry, artifacts get +1/+1. This one's another little wild card. It was just I thought to myself, I don't really have anything flying, so I just added it in there out of hastiness just to add something flying in there. But it does allow me to scry equal to its power, so potentially a 4 scry. The Platinum Angel is in there for a bit of tomfoolery, I guess. It costs a lot, but considering I don't pay her to get her out, there has been times when I have played this, and I've not spent the 7, so it's not too bad. I guess cards like this, if you can get it out without paying for it, it's kind of an alright card. The Mindbreaker is probably my favourite card in this deck. I have used this a couple of times, and every time I play this card, as soon as I've attacked with it, I lose the next round after, because the whole board comes after me, because no one likes milling half their library. It's a very naughty card. I was thinking once I maybe taking it out, but I can't. I really like this card. Mill someone. I don't care if I lose. If I'm the first to lose in a game of Commander, the fact that I managed to mill someone half the library is an achievement for me. And in my eyes, I won the game. So that's the reason why he's in there. He has Unearth, so another graveyard recursion. I think he's like the second graveyard recurring thing in my deck. So yeah, I like that card. That's probably my favorite card. The Hulking Metamorph is another one. Comes in as a copy of something, except it has power and toughness equal to what this is, so it's a 7/7. So why have one when you can have two Mind Breakers? Like crazy. Foundry Inspector artifacts cost one less, which is quite nice. The Reality Chip just allows me to sort through the top card of my the top card of my library, so it's not too bad. Yeah, it's not bad. I've put this in here. I've had a few, I wouldn't say successful, like I've had some okay games where I've had this out quite early, and just having the ability to just look at the top card of my library and get ahead of my opponents is actually quite nice. This bad boy has been in since the beginning, but I've yet to use this one. So other blue creatures, sorry, have whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card. Yeah, it would be nice to benefit from this, but I've yet to use this card, and he's been in since the beta. Same thing with the Awakener. So other artifacts you control have flying, so this gives them flying, but it's 1 out of 99. I've yet to draw this card, and he's been in since the beginning as well. Enthusiastic Mechanaut as well. Artifacts cost one less, which is quite nice. Anything cheaper is all good. And then there's still Overseer, so yeah, with the counters. I remember playing one game where I was able to create copies. I can't remember what I did, but I was creating copies of this guy. And I had like 6 of these bad boys, and I was just putting counters on everything, and I had like massive creatures. And it's what prompted me to put all B1, that enchantment, on there, because I thought maybe if I'm making all these counters, I might be able to do some serious damage. So yeah, so that's the deck. Yeah, the aim of the game, get Jhoira out, put the counters on, cheat things in, and go as fast as possible. It's not perfect, by all means. It has got some potential. Through the testings, I have completely exploded out of the gate with this deck, and it's quite a lot of fun. I have a thing for artifacts decks. I've got Shorakai, the white and blue artifact deck, vehicles. I got that, the Warhammer Precon, the Necrons, so it's got black artifacts. Yeah, I really like artifacts. Is it artifacts now? I've got a thing for artifacts. I've actually recently purchased the Boros equipment deck as well from Commander Legends, I think it was. So yeah, so I'm having a little fiddle around with that as well. And I've been like upgrading, if you remember from my other deck tech, some of the things I'm doing as well. So I actually ended up buying the Precon, and I've put all those cards from my deck tech that I was doing into that deck basically. So that's the idea behind that one. So just to finish off, I'm going to go through a few little wild cards. A couple of other cards I was going through that I'm umming and ahhing about that I may or may not add. So this is like the sideboard, so to speak. I know you don't sideboard in Commander, but this is just a couple of cards that I've come across that I kind of like the look of, thinking about adding, but I can't decide. But we've got the Glittering Stockpile. You put a counter on it and you add 1 red mana, so it's it's a ramp, so to speak, and then you can sacrifice it and add X mana of any one color equal to the stash counters. So if at some point I've got like 5 or 6 on here and I need the mana real bad, I can just sacrifice this. I've got 6 mana. So maybe, I don't know, it's hard to explain. The Diamond Pickaxe as well, another treasure token one. It's indestructible as well. Gives them +1, creates treasure tokens. It's kind of cool. It's not too bad. Mostly because of the proliferate, I'm umming and ahhing about this, but a one-time use for 3 damage, maybe not in Commander. It's probably a bit useless. I actually can't remember why that's in there. It doesn't untap. Oh, okay, so it just taps them down, and proliferate. Maybe that's why I put it in there. Turnabout is one I came across. Choose an artifact, creature, or land. Untap all permanents of that chosen type. Again, maybe choosing Jhoira or untapping all my ones. If, say, for example, I went on the offensive and swung wide, and now I'm being attacked, I need an answer. Potentially bring this up if I've got blockers. Another Mana Rock, but no maximum hand size. That's there because I haven't really tested the card draw yet fully, and I wanted to see maybe you know, do I really need it? Because Jhoira does let me empty my hand quite fast, and maybe maybe this is not needed. So having maximum hand size is probably not needed whatsoever. Dowsing device. When another artifact enters the battlefield, up to one target creature gets +1/+1 and +1/+0 and haste till the end of turn. This was more for like the haste abilities. I'm very considering of putting this in here. I might take something out and put this in for definite. Just the opportunity to give something haste is what I want. I want speed. I want fast. And this does exactly that, and it turns into a land as well. Target creature gains haste, but for free. So it basically does what the Hangwire Battlement does, except it does give it a bit of extra power as well. So instead of 1 red, it's 1 red and 2, gets haste and +X, where it's the number of artifacts you control. So that could be really big. Like, I think if I'm not mistaken, I've played a game before and I've had like at least 10+ artifacts on the battlefield. So for 3 mana to give like a creature like +10 like is massive. So yeah, that's probably definitely going in. Thopter Spy Network as well. Beginning up, if you control an artifact, create an artifact, and then whenever an artifact does combat damage, draw a card. Most likely that might be going in as well because of the card draw. Sinister Sabotage, it's a counter spell and I get to surveil. I've got 5 already. Do I need a 6? I don't know. That's the reason why it's in the wall. This is why it's in my sideboard pile, so to speak. And again, card draw. I know it's not an artifact, but I thought, considering like most likely my command is going to be out quite often, I thought like having this pair trigger and having, you know, at the beginning of combat, draw a card, I feel like this might happen more often than not. So this is another one I was thinking of doing. So I'm not too sure. That's basically the sideboard, or the maybe pile, or the wild card pile, so to speak. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so pretty. You know, I think it's a really cool deck. As much as I hate red.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
You know, I don't like playing red, but I do like artifacts, and I think I'm probably just going to end up going through all the colours. I might just do like a green and, I don't know, green and some other colour. What haven't I done yet? So I've done white and blue, red and blue. I've got black. What other artifact decks can I do? I don't know. Red and white. Maybe do white and green. Maybe if I can figure out how to do a white and green artifact deck or something, that might be the next one. So guys, let me know what you think. You know, do you like the idea of Jhoira as a commander? What do you think of her? Let me know on your thoughts. Let me know what you thought on some of the cards as well. Is there a couple of cards that you saw in here that just have no business being in here whatsoever? And if that's the case, what were they? Let me know. You know, because I'm always about improving my decks here and stuff, and it's kind of fun building them. It's kind of stressful as well at the same time, because it's a lot of reading and it's a lot of research, and then you got to trade for the cards or buy the cards or find them in your collection, and it's a hassle. But ultimately, it's quite fun. I've enjoyed making this deck. But yeah, so leave some comments to the like. Let me know what you think. What was your favorite card? You know, probably the Blightsteel, because that's an awesome card, isn't it? So yeah, guys, I will love you and leave you. Boom. Have a good one.